Video's camera's rolling. Production
I
meeting
gotta
is
keep
done.
reminding myself to look into the camera and not the fucking monitor.
Monitor, camera.
It's 1 o'clock. Let's roll.
Hey-oh.
Yep.
This microphone has to be placed the right spot.
Mhm.
Okay, you ready for a countdown?
Shoot.
Lights, camera. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1.
Hey, welcome back, friends. Welcome back to the Jersey Alchemist. And I'm your host, Dr. John Gerard Gallucci.
And I'm Philip D'Angelo.
Today, we are officially highlighting Major Bones.
Major Bones.
Major Bones, welcome. Major Bones, welcome.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Your cousin, the milkman, executive chef Bones. We didn't get rid of him. He walked. He made his way to the stairs, and the next thing we knew, he was in the parking lot and then down the street.
Yeah.
So, Major Bones, welcome aboard.
It's nice to have a military, presence.
Absolutely, yeah.
It makes you feel a little bit more secure. You know, with the Army training and everything they go through, it's a big deal. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Gentlemen, I expect nothing less than discipline on this podcast. Discipline, do you understand?
Yes, Major Bones. Yes, Major Bones.
Wait, we're not in the Army. He is. Just placate him?
Come on, we need him back there.
Yeah, I know.
I know, placate him, right.
That's trouble, wow. Where was he?
What word don't you understand, Doctor? I'll put you on peeling potato duty KP immediately.
Peeling potatoes.
Okay, all right.
All right.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Well,
he's getting a little crazy, John. Every persona he comes up with, he gets a little out of hand. And here we go again.
Are you a blood relative of Milkman, celebrity chef Bones? Are you blood relative, or are you like married in on the other side of the family? Because, Phil, I think it's Bones. I think it's the same.
You know, I was thinking he does kind of look just like.
They do, yeah. Same color eyes.
He's got those high cheekbones.
I'll have to check him later for that hemorrhoid.
Oh.
Well, okay, Major Bones. Seeing as to how we have an aggressive military presence here now on the Jersey Alchemist, you want to tell them about what happened?
Oh yeah. Well, listen, we one of our videos, the first one actually, it got torpedoed. It got shot down.
Yeah, we took heavy fire, and it was torpedoed and crushed, and it's in podcast Neverland. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean literally.
I don't know.
Dr. Gallucci, did I hear you say that one of our videos was torpedoed?
Yeah.
It was.
Is that correct? Torpedoed,
Yes.
you said?
Yes.
There's only one thing to do, Dr. Gallucci. We mount a counterattack immediately.
Counterattack. Mount a counterattack.
Oh my God.
There's too much stuff going on here.
Oh my gosh. Well, what kind of counterattack are we talking about here? They took one video out of 28 down. It's down. I still have it in the computer. It didn't disappear from the Earth plane. If we go on the attack, if we mass a counterattack, then what? Then they're going to pull the entire channel. What do you say about that, Bones?
Yeah, we don't want that to happen. There's too much work.
This is where we hold them. This is where we fight. This is where they die.
Whoa.
Why do those words sound familiar?
Well, they're from a movie, I believe.
You know what? This is Bones. This isn't his cousin.
Yeah, no.
This is Bones. He made us think that he left and he came back. This is the same guy.
It's the same guy. Because he's out of control already, you know. We're going to come in tomorrow. There'll be barricades out in the front door, sandbags, barbed wire.
Yeah. Hey, listen, Major. No barbed wire, no sandbags, for God's sakes.
Rations.
Oh my God.
That's amazing.
That is.
He's gonna build it in his own. The place will look like his own fortress.
Well,
Camp
I
Bones.
guess that's what he wants, and it's.
It's outrageous.
I needed that laugh.
But John,
Mm.
let's go back to the point of we are in the United States of America. It is 2022.
For now.
Free speech, the First Amendment. I mean, what happened? I mean, they took our video down, and I don't think that's right. There was nothing offensive in that video, in my opinion.
This is about the N-word, not the N-word that most people would think of.
Yeah.
No. It's the other N-word.
Yeah.
Begins with an N, ends with an I,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We'll get by the AI censors that way.
Yeah, I guess so.
Mhm.
But it just goes to show you people out there that what, this country we live in, it's not the same country. And like we've said in prior videos, if you don't step up and defend your right to free speech, defend your right to what's being taught in schools, it's really
Well,
going to be bad.
I know that there's a famous line, and I think it's a line from antiquity, and I'll be damned, I can't remember who issued it. It had something to do with freedom is never free.
Oh yeah.
And it's not. And then that reminds me of the movie Braveheart, right? Those people, I guess they were the Scots, right?
Yeah.
The rural Scots that were totally put upon by the Brits. I mean, if somebody wanted to get married, the British lords would have sex with the girl first. And that was not just to demoralize their whole tribe, but it was also, no pun intended, to inject their genetics into those people so that they never knew how many of those kids that were being born and raised were actually of the ruling lineage. That's disgusting. That's about as disgusting as it gets. Freedom.
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 We should close every show with that Mel Gibson, William Wallace, that chant for freedom. Every show.
Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. Put some blue paint on our faces.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Get some wigs. Get some wigs.
See, he's rubbing off on us. Now all of a sudden we're we want to go to war. Yeah.
We want to put costumes on.
Yeah.
That is funny.
That's crazy. The amendment. Look at countries, John, that don't have free speech, that are under dictatorship.
We don't.
We don't either. Sure. I mean, everybody made fun of North Korea and the propaganda, the North Korean television stations, what they spew, that things are great, and the enemy is the world, but they're strong, and it's ridiculous.
It is
Russia,
ridiculous.
China. It's all one way, and for some reason, it seems there's a certain faction of people that just want to have one way of conversation and not a debate or give and take.
Right. And I think it all falls under the umbrella of tyranny. Now, where does tyranny come from? Where, if you peel the layers of the onion, you go all the way to the core of the core, what is tyranny all about? Any ideas?
Well, it's got to be power.
It's power over others.
But it's
control.
power for a few to
For a
have
few.
over others.
For a few, right.
But
Right.
let's look at Russia, okay? The history of Russia. Look at the landmass. You look on a map. How huge was the old USSR?
Pretty
Okay?
big.
It was massive. It's still big, but it's still massive. Could you imagine if somebody there had the same philosophy as the United States when it came to capitalism and that freedom of speech and freedom for each individual to prosper? I mean,
Right.
just think what a powerhouse they would be, right?
Right.
And nobody sees that. The chosen few, They just want to be in power, and they want to keep the huddled masses, keep them off to the side, and poor and struggling for food. How many people are running to Russia to live?
I
Nobody.
would have no idea.
Their population is decreasing every year, I believe. Every time they do a census, uh, Russia's population is going down. And that's one of the great points about being the United States. Even though it is out of control, everybody's coming here. So we'll never not have enough people for uh, commercial purposes, industrial purposes, for army, military purposes. There'll always be people that are coming here. There'll always be a generation. I mean, it's obvious what's going on with the border.
Right.
You know, they said on the radio today, a news report, at the end of this administration's term, they're projecting, if things stay the way they do, up to 6.4 million illegal immigrants will come through that border, the southern border, in 4 years.
6.4 in 4 years?
Yeah.
I thought it was 6 million in a year because I believe 11 million come in, quote, legally a year.
No, I think it's 1.4 million are allowed a year. But it doesn't, I mean.
Why do I have 11 million in my head? Maybe that's how many are here? I don't know.
Yeah. But that's horrible. I mean, but people are running to the United States. So, I mean, if we could somehow, I mean, just keep everything, keep our I don't say ground rules, our Constitution, our rights, and if we can pass them on to these people, then it would be okay.
Right.
But when you come in illegally, think what you have to go through to become a citizen of the United States. I mean, you get put on a waiting list.
Well, I have friends that went through it, and it's a long, protracted
process.
affair.
But you
Yeah.
have to learn some sense of history about the United States.
Yes, well, you should.
Yeah, I mean, you can't just come in willy-nilly and just do whatever you want. But people that
Right.
come in illegally, they want to be here, but there's no sense of, like, history, what the country's all about.
Right.
And I don't think that they really can take full advantage of being a United States citizen.
If they don't study that
If
stuff.
they don't study
No,
or
I agree. I mean,
take
to
rules.
kind of dumb it down a bit, it's kind of like a commuter bus, right? If you're going to get on that bus, meaning you're going to immigrate to a country, you really should know where the bus came from and where the hell it's going.
Yeah, that's
Otherwise, you think you're going to North Carolina and you end up in Minnesota.
right. Yeah, that would be a problem. That would be a problem.
Right.
And I mean, as far as, I mean, a lot of people that run, there's some news outlets, and they're opinion outlets. They say that the reason this administration is letting people in is because they're future voters for a certain party. Okay?
Well, that's obvious.
But if you talk to people that have come from communist countries with dictatorships, and they come in the right way, meaning legally,
Yeah.
and they will not vote that way. They actually vote on a more conservative basis because they've seen the ugly side of the world, of what it's like to wait in line for food, no gas, no money. Everybody earns the same $20 a month, $10 a week, whatever it is, and they say we're not going back. So, it's like there's a struggle going on.
Well, that you touched upon a topic that I think maybe we should talk about a little bit right now.
Okay.
You said, you mentioned food lines, right?
Absolutely.
If we were an intel service, and God knows we aren't, the intel service has always made reference to chatter. We hear the international chatter, whatever that means. Wiretaps, spooks, spies, cloak and dagger, all of that stuff.
Intelligence.
Well, that's the whole, it falls under the blanket of the intel service, right? And they kind of compile a ton of information, and I'm not talking about cell phones spying on us and your smart toaster and your smart TV and your smart printer.
Siri.
That is Siri. That actually happens, and your car, right? I'm talking about I went down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, well, we're talking about the
Food shortages,
food
right,
shortage,
and the chatter,
and the
right?
chatter
Because I could
internationally.
go in 3 different rabbit holes at once,
Yes.
right? So I think we need to just talk a little bit right now about the chatter that is intentionally being placed in our heads about up and coming food shortages. Think about that, okay? How many times has the big guy, food shortage, food shortages are coming. It's going to be a cold, dark winter. There'll be food shortages.
Winter of
That's
death.
that's the president. That's the president. So whether you like him, love him, or hate him, everybody's talking about these pending food shortages, and then you get these reports of food manufacturing plants being bombed, being going up in flames. Nobody really seems to say whether it was arson or not. I've yet to see that on a report. Um,
The president of Goya Foods,
uh-huh.
John, to
Mhm.
your point, was just on the radio, and
Really?
he said the food shortage is coming. It's on. Now there's a
Right.
guy that's a food producer.
Yeah, right. And
It's coming.
the internet is full of videos of farmers who are saying we've been put on notice by the government. Either you destroy your crops or we will destroy your crops for you. If you do it, we'll pay you. If we do it, we will pour Agent Orange over your land. Uh, uh, yeah, wow. You don't have to believe me. Go and look at the videos on the internet. So, okay, what is this all about? Right? What I really wanted to say was whether all of this is just bluster and bullshit to destroy our energy and to demoralize us, because this is what the enemy would do to any other fighting force. They would try to demoralize them before the first shot was fired, right? But just in case it's true, and I'm not saying it's true, there's two things that I would do if I were you. You need to include it into your prayer and meditation list and be very emotional about it. Like, oh Lord, please help us get by food shortages, which are apparently being intentionally contrived. That's number one. Remember the whole food shortage issue in your prayers and your meditation. And the other is, I think, should be obvious. You need to set aside a place in your house, a closet, the basement, and use your noggin about this and start stocking up on long-term food items. I, what's the harm in that? Are you afraid to be laughed at? Are you afraid to be scoffed at? Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of anyone, right? Have no fear of them. So, if I were you, figure out how much baseline food substance you would need for your family for 3, 4, 5 months and go out and get it and store it in such a fashion and take an accounting of it on a legal pad and write down not every single can and item, but have some idea of what the expiration dates are, because you don't want to go to a supermarket or to a big store like BJ's or Costco and lay down $500 for canned soups and get home and find out that it expires in 2 months. That just means you aren't paying attention. And if you're going to store items in your basement, remember that more basements than not have little creepy crawlers with a little tail that like to nibble, and they slide underneath doorways, and they rifle through the air vents. Mice. My house is on the woods, and everybody who lives around me, everybody's got mice in their basement. They do. So you're not going to be able to store a plastic bag full of anything in the basement. Oh, we're going to go and get a big sack of 5-pound, 10-pound sack of rice. No, you're going to have to put that in another container, like a really heavy sealable Tupperware storage container. and get it off the ground. Put them up on shelves. The mice get up on shelves anyway, but don't give them a freebie. Anyway, this isn't scare talk. This is just, to me, it's being sensible. It's remember the issue in your prayers and your meditation, very sincerely and emotionally. And don't get caught with your pants down. The last thing that you are going to believe is looking at, you know, empty shelves in an American supermarket or fights in a parking lot of the local supermarket because people are trying to get in and the manager is locking the door. Don't let that happen to you. Don't let that happen. Anyway, I just thought that that was a good time to say, and it's the P word. What's the P word? The prep word. I bet you Major Bones knows all about prepping, but you would be foolish. You would be so foolish if everything that we know that's going on around us right now, if you didn't just prepare. I don't think you need barbed wire, Major Bones. I don't think you need sandbags and an M60, machine gun nest. No, nothing like that. But I think you'd be foolish if you didn't have at least 3 to 5 months of food stored away in your home and write down the expiration dates and get smart, right? If all you have are, rices and pastas, well, you're not going to go anywhere with that unless you're able to cook those items in water. Well, what if you have no potable water? What if you have no gas to turn your stove on? So you might want to be looking at more of a complete meal in a can, like an organic canned soup. There are brands out there that they have that are organic canned soups. The water content is high. The salts are a good thing if, God forbid, we're in a food shortage. Just saying, gang. Just saying.
I mean, John, that doesn't sound out of the ordinary when you consider when this pandemic started, there was a TP, a toilet paper shortage.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, who would have
Right.
thought in a million years,
Right.
every time you go to the supermarket, there's almost too many. I mean, it's a
Right.
whole aisle and it's full. Then all of a sudden you go there and there's none. And like fools, we had to run from one store to another store, go to Walmart, go to this
Yeah.
one, looking for TP. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. I remember I thought it was a PTTP shortage. It was paper towel, toilet paper.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, if that had not happened, and either Phil or I right now on this episode said, there's a home product shortage coming, contrived or not, we're not going to have toilet paper. You better go prep and you better buy as much toilet paper as you can. Everybody would be rolling and laughing and slapping their thighs and holding their bellies and laughing. We'd like to make you laugh, the first segment of each one of these episodes, but really, Galucci and D'Angelo, really? You foresee a toilet paper shortage?
Right.
You guys are really comedians.
I-
Oh, wait. That wasn't a dream.
That was real.
That happened for two
To a while. I mean,
feckin' years.
Yeah. And don't forget, we were rationed as well.
Sure we were.
If you had
Yeah.
to bring, you had to go in and out,
Mhm.
3 or 4 times.
You didn't see that article in the paper that there was wiping rationing. You're only allowed to swipe twice, regardless of what's still clinging on.
Oh.
That's a joke. But you think toilet paper shortages would be a joke? We just went through it. Duh.
So
Go out and get yourself some long-term, high water content food items like canned soups. And I'll say the names: Progresso, Fabulous, Amy's Organic Lentil Soups. They're pretty much all over the place. Don't wait until the shit hits the fan, people. And by the way, you know what? Lots of truther podcasts out there, and I love them all. Whatever they tell you to go get because you're going to need it, oh, guess what? By the way, they're selling that item too. I'm not selling canned soup. I'm not selling prepped items. I'm telling you Be smart about this. Unless you completely trust the people that are in the White House or at Castle Rock Studios in in Hollywood, whoever the hell may or may not be in the White House. I said it once before. I thought the White House was converted into a nursing home. That's what I think.
Well, and John, not only are they claiming for a food shortage, we went through a TP shortage. Remember, in the past, we've had gas shortages
100%.
where we had all of a sudden we had to wait in line.
Right. And was there really a gas shortage? Of course not. There was no shortage of fuel oil or gasoline. They had videos of tankers rolling out into the desert and opening up their valves and pouring the gasoline, not oil, not crude oil, finished product gasoline, pouring it out into the desert. And there were gas lines and people were fist fighting during Hurricane Sandy.
Oh my
I
goodness.
I
That was
witnessed what I
horrendous.
never ever ever expected. I witnessed a vicious fist fight. It was like a UFC match right on the street, and it was a line that I think was at least 3 hours long just to get onto the property of the gas station. And I thought, good God, the first thing I thought of was how horrible, because these people are that fearful, right? And one guy that was just clobbering the shit out of a smaller guy. This guy was a big, tough, muscular guy that looked like maybe late 30s, maybe early 40s. I mean, a real specimen. I wouldn't want to square off with a guy, not even when I was 40. And he was clobbering this smaller fella. And I could see the hatred on his face, but really it was the look of the ultimate look of fear, because fear is the opposite of love, people. We've said that and we'll say it over and over again. And hatred is it's nothing more than a byproduct of fear. Fear of, well, in a sense, it's FOMO, but it's fear of missing out. It's fear of missing out on the gasoline that you need to keep your household going, to do your job. It's fear of not being able to get to the supermarket to get the toilet paper that they purposely caused a shortage over. Well, if we're going to have food shortages, you'd be an idiot not to prepare now. Some would say it's already too late, but you know what? I'm going to put this video up today. I'm not going to hang on to it at all. And for God's sakes, take it seriously. Yeah, we want to entertain, educate, elevate. You know what? And this is all part of it. Again, I'm going to say it. Call me a fool if you believe the shit that's being spewed from the White House. Call me a fool. I'll wear that. You know what? I'll go have a embroidered fool patch made, and I'll wear it right here. I may do it anyway. But you know something? You better listen, because it costs you nothing to get into 3 to 5 months of food that you're going to eat anyway, right? So if you're going to eat it anyway, and you're going to portion it out so it lasts you a year, what's wrong with that? As opposed to, holy shit, we have no food. The supermarkets are closed. The trucks aren't running. The supply ships are in the Pacific Ocean. Is that what you want? Don't let them do this to you. Them, you know who they are. Don't let them do this to you, for God's sakes. See, now I'm getting passionate, and that's what this podcast is all about.
It's passion.
Yeah, it is.
Well, because there's passion in the truth, and the truth is what shall set you free.
Yeah, you're right.
Absolutely. And now, John, not only that, I know somebody who works at the docks down in Newark, Port Newark.
I bet you do.
Yeah. And they're told, like, the barges, whatever's there, you don't touch them for 30 days. No matter how much you might need them, 30 days, you let them sit there. So they're just sitting there.
Right.
Waiting
And
for
I
30 days.
wonder what's on those tankers and barges. In other words, okay, fine. let's say they're automobile parts. All right, okay, all right. Then you're not going to get your Hyundai or your Datsun or Nissan. I said Datsun, Jesus,
Wow. Yeah.
Nissan,
Nissan.
whatever, because they can't finish assembling the automobiles, and you're not going to find them in the showrooms. But what if they're food items? And what if they don't get released until they're expired? Hmm. Yeah. Why don't you do this, peeps? Get on, get on the company that torpedoed us already, which means we were over the target if they torpedoed us, if they shot us down. Get on YouTube and pull up some of the old black and white newsreels of food lines, bread lines from the 1920s. You think this shit hasn't happened? You think that because you haven't seen it happen in your lifetime, that it's not coming again? There are some global scumbags out there that are just waiting to have this happen so they can watch on some television somewhere in some palatial spread somewhere in Europe or in the mountains in the United States, somewhere up in the hills of Aspen, because there's a lot of elites who have big stone mansions up there. And they're going to be watching like Donald Sutherland was watching on his monitors during the Hunger Games. Wasn't it Donald Sutherland?
I didn't see
Nah,
it.
I think it was
Yeah.
Donald Sutherland. Anyway,
Wow.
yeah.
That's not good. I mean, we talk about food shortages. We talk about supply chain. I mean, if you walk through a grocery store, I wonder how many products are made in, and this is a grocery store,
Yeah.
right? A supermarket. How
Mhm.
many products are made in the United States? I know Florida, I'm going back 20 to 30 years, produced 80% of the citrus for the United States. 80.
Wow.
If you, they did a survey now, research,
Mhm.
and it's 10% comes from Florida for the United States. Citrus,
Wow.
yeah, we only get 10%. So it's almost like we're, entitlement comes to mind, John. I think so many people are asleep at the wheel because they feel entitled, like you said about in your lifetime, just because it hasn't happened in your lifetime.
Yeah.
So if you haven't had that struggle and, your life's been, in a great country, it's been a great life.
Yeah.
When something happens like a Sandy, a pandemic, or any kind of shortage, I mean, I don't think people know how to handle it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think they're really, because they're entitled. What do you mean? I like to call it first world problems, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
not enough. Where's the caramel macchiato today? Like that's my
Right.
biggest problem.
Yeah.
I need that $14 coffee. And meanwhile, people in other countries, are struggling, and they know what it's like to live hand to mouth, day to day,
Yeah.
and we lose sight of that a lot.
Right.
And then we get complacent. Entitlement equals complacency, whether it's with politics, upbringing of children, all topics we've discussed in these podcasts.
Yeah.
And when you are complacent, that means you're asleep, and you were in for a rude awakening.
Yeah. And I think a lot of where capitalism a la the United States has gone wrong, um, capitalism the American way, and yeah, I'm a capitalist, but I do not practice capitalism without accountability or responsibility. I think a lot of it has been devised by nefarious forces behind the scenes. How do I say that? Because I have this thing about me that when my radar goes up and I suspect that something is nefarious, it's like, out of line. It's like my brain just goes, and it grabs on and I never forget it.
A sixth sense.
Yeah, right. I remember watching a video. It's got to be about 12 years ago or more on the internet that the magazine, it's either called 16 or 17. Maybe it's 17. It's a girly teenagers magazine. I think it's 17. I don't know, 16, 17. I never read it. Guess who created that magazine?
Who?
3-letter agency, begins with a C, ends with an A.
Really?
No shit. What business do they have creating a magazine for teenage girls? What's their game? What's their game?
What's the
Philip?
motivation?
Well, that's what I'm
Is,
saying.
is it control? Is it grooming? That seems to be a popular word
Yeah,
now.
I think it's just, like the Rockefellers said, they can, and this is all on internet videos too. Rockefeller said, you can change any country just in two generations. Yeah. Generation is just, parents and kids. It's not great grandparents, grandparents, the primary parents, kids, on and on and on. It's really from one generation to the next is 20 years,
Wow.
right?
Absolutely.
Right. Lots of 20-year-olds have kids, a lot of
Absolutely.
them. So start remembering, people, who the hell you are. Yeah, start remembering who you are, and start understanding that we're in a fight. If you turn into the Jersey Alchemist and you go, oh God, Gallucci's talking about we're in a fight again, we're in spiritual warfare, there's a reason why I'm saying that. In the words of Frank Slade in Scent of a Woman, I've been around, I've been around. I'm in my 60s. I've lived in a handful of different countries other than the United States. I've worked my ass off. I've come up through the American system. I've gone to dental school and medical school. I've worked in trauma centers where there's blood and guts and brains on the walls and the floors and on us. I've been around, you see? And with being around and with being an empath and with having a role in this life, in this particular world, in this third dimensional matrix, my job here is to make sure, as best I can, that you understand that you are in a fight for your freedom. Did you know that the Creator imbues into all of us free will? Without free will, the entire construct of how you grow spiritually is destroyed, right? Because there's got to be a challenge, and then options for the challenge that you study. And after you study the options to the challenge you're faced with, you have to have the free will that God gives you to choose. I don't mean left or right politically. I'm talking about this way, that way, up, down, forward, backward, right? You got to have that free will. Why? Because the free will then points to the consequences of your action or inaction. And a challenge that's met with a thought process, which is met with your brain and your heart, or your heart and your brain, and then you move on it one way or another, it's going to carry a result. And the results have consequences. And the consequences should be a new realization of how to jump the hurdles that life puts in front of you. That whole process, it's kind of like a healthy immune cascade, right? I'm going to make an analogy that free will is like vitamin D3 in the immune cascade. If you pull vitamin D3, which is another topic that we'll talk about, if you pull vitamin D3 out of the immune cascade, guess what? Your immune system isn't what it could be. It's going to malfunction. What does that mean? You're going to get sick. You're going to get virus. You're going to get bacteria. You're going to get cancer. Right. Without that crucial component of the immune process. Well, the process of living as a human being and being challenged and growing from the challenge can't happen without free will. Free will that God gave you, that you were born with, is the vitamin D3 that is so needed in the process of evolution and growth spiritually. Think about that. Don't let anybody steal your free will or your vitamin 3.
What a great analogy. Let's face it, John. We talked about generations and how it's generational. Listen to what our parents told us, and they listened to what their parents told them, our grandparents. So it is so important to pass down from one generation to the next, to not forget the struggles that they went through, to not forget the wars, the bread lines, the gas shortages, any of that. Because you have to make your kids, your children, your next generation, you have to make them aware of what it took to get there. You know, how my grandparents and my mother came from another country to be here. You know, we're all kids of immigrants in this country.
Yeah.
And that's what makes this country so beautiful. And we assimilate and we prosper where we didn't have the opportunity to do it in another country. But those words about what my grandfather did, what he had to do to get to this country, and what my mother did coming from another country to come here, what they had to deal with and put up with. And I mean, you know, so I'll never take for granted the United States of America because what they passed on. And I tried to pass that on to my kids.
You were closer than me to the whole, immigrant story. I was second generation. You're first generation.
Absolutely.
Son of a gun.
Yeah, my mother spoke with an accent. And when I was a kid, I was like, wow, why is my mother, and she's the only mom that talks, with an accent like that.
Right.
And my father, his grandparents came over, and his parents were born here.
But to me, your mother was very soft-spoken.
Absolutely.
Would you agree with that?
100%. Yes.
I thought you were going to say, "Pah, not at home."
No. Oh, no, she can get loud, and the broomstick, wooden spoon, all that stuff.
You had a wooden spoon.
Oh, yeah, everybody did.
Well,
Come on.
not my mom. She had
Really?
a stainless steel ladle.
Wow.
That means there was no fooling around.
That's
The
impressive.
wooden spoon was a joke.
Yeah.
My Aunt Betty had a wooden spoon,
Yeah.
and that was a joke compared to the stainless steel ladle.
All right,
When
now-
that thing hit, it left a divot in you.
All right, so let's talk generation. I mean, my kids didn't get a wooden spoon. Did yours? I mean, there was none of that with my kids.
No, I think our generation, I think we were right in the middle of the tail wags the dog.
Yeah, very well put.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, I think what's going on in this country, in this world, is because of our generation. You know, we were a little bit softer, a little more at ease with things.
Right.
And we took for granted, and we assumed a whole bunch. And I think we're paying the price now, because nothing's the way it used to be.
Did you mention just a few moments ago about being ready and not being asleep?
Yes.
Right, and not kind of getting caught with your pants down.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. I think that Americans were absolutely lulled to slumber. And I think that we were lulled to slumber by the expectations of the mainstream media, television programming, the marketeers and the merchants and all of that stuff that saw us as this great, big, huge, we were a market. The people are the market, right? And how did we go to sleep? We never imagined that the good times that started to roll toward us, that came in, tsunamis don't come in, crash, boom, bang. Some of them do. But most of them, the water recedes, and everybody goes running down to the ocean. Oh my God, look, the water's 300 feet out. What happened to the water? Look at these shells. There's fish. There's coral. Oh my God. All of a sudden, the water starts to come in slowly. And then in about a half an hour, it's crash, boom, bang. And then there's, 40 feet of a tidal wave 5 miles in. So I think people were intentionally lulled into a slumber. And I think that we are in an era of ambush and tsunami. I really believe that. Those film reels of the 2004, was it 2004 tsunamis, Phuket Island,
I think so.
Southeast Asia. Those people that were on the beaches had no clue, right?
Yeah.
So many people in the West, so many people all over the world, but we, more than the other people, you know, let's face it, we don't rely on horses and camels to get from point A to point B. We don't. You know, we're complaining because we got to get up early because we have to be at the job at 6:30 in the morning or 7:30 in the morning, and we're going to work, oh God forbid, a 10-hour day. We've gotten soft, and our expectations are all wrong, and we've fell into a slumber. And now it's the ambush. It's the crash, boom, bang of the tsunami. And now we just don't know what hit us.
Well, John, when it comes to our generation, the struggle is over. We didn't have to
The
worry.
struggle is over.
We didn't have to come from
Right.
another country. I mean, we were both middle class growing up.
Mhm.
Okay, so it wasn't like, we were living in an urban environment, and the the generation before us did.
Yeah.
They struggled big time. The stories my mother and father told me about being poor are with me to this day.
Yeah.
But still, we felt.
But you weren't there.
But I was. But I
Right.
wasn't there.
And neither of us grew up in a cold water flat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the struggle for us was over. Middle class upbringing.
Yeah.
We really had everything we needed. I mean, but we didn't need much,
Yeah.
right? What did we need? A bat and a ball and a hockey stick.
And you know what? Ultimately, for us, we didn't know what we didn't know.
Yeah,
Right?
that's right. I mean, come on, we had the same pair of sneakers for how long? But it was okay. No, we didn't have to have new sneakers every
Right.
month, every
As long
year.
as you weren't outgrowing them.
That's
That's
right.
it.
I had to give a speech to my father. I had to have two toes showing. I show him the flap is open on my sneakers. I mean, what were pro Keds back in the '60s? I mean, I think they were $2.47.
Isn't that crazy?
$2.47 for Converse. I think they were the black high tops. And to get my father to buy a pair, I'll tell you what, it really,
Well,
because
yeah.
of where he grew up, and how they grew up. He was like, it was a big deal. My kids, because this is why I blame our generation. My son wanted something, my daughter wanted something. Oh yeah, of course, absolutely.
Yeah.
What a
Right.
mistake.
How about
What a
the
mistake.
holidays? What about trying to buy? For me, it was Christmas gifts for three preteens.
Oh yeah.
Forget it.
Yeah.
Forget it. I remember at least 2 years in a row, I went out there and tortured myself. And when I realized that when they opened their gifts on Christmas Eve, that they were laughing at me. What? What's the matter? Ted, I'll never wear these. Are you kidding?
Right.
It's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah? Thank you. You just slapped the shit out of me. You just woke me up from my slumber. Guess what's not happening next year? You're getting gift cards.
That's it. I mean,
That's
I
it.
can remember. I mean, now Christmas was such a special time growing up, especially if you're a kid in the '60s and '70s. But I mean, I never got any great, big, exorbitant gifts.
No. Yeah.
I
Right.
mean, it's funny because most of my gifts were underwear and socks. And now that I'm in the '60s, what do I need? Underwear and socks.
And you buy them for yourself.
And I buy them for myself.
Right.
But there were no, I mean, big gifts. I mean, it's just a different time. It was the
Totally.
actual holiday that mattered. It was the
Of course.
experience.
Of course.
You know,
That's why I'm going to say something that's going to get a couple people a little bit, like they're going to scratch their heads and go, "Oh no, really? He's one of those."
that wouldn't be the first time.
But
John.
I, at this stage of the game, for everything that's going on in this world, the way the holidays have turned,
Yes.
reminds me of that Ralph Cramden line.
There were
About
so many. Which one?
kind of about like what did he say about hey Ralph, you got a match? What was
Oh yeah, they were in Chicago. They were on their way to Chicago for
On
a
the train?
convention,
that? Right,
and they were handcuffed together, I think. And Nord
Right.
kept bothering him, so he wanted to have a cigarette.
right.
So he goes, Ralph, do you mind if I smoke?
Norton, I don't care if you burn. And that's how I feel now about the holidays. It's
Yeah.
like, hey, are you ready for how many people on Facebook? Oh, hey, John, are you ready for the holidays? Holidays? I don't care if they burn. Because it's the meaning of the holidays that should mean everything to us spiritually haven't been regarded that way in decades, in decades, in decades. How did we turn the resurrection of Christ into green and pink plastic grass in a basket with a chocolate rabbit and multicolor eggs? I'm not saying that Easter wasn't fun. I'm not saying that that kind of Easter doesn't connote renewal and rebirth. Okay, but it had nothing to do with the resurrection of Christ. Resurrection and rebirth, okay, fine, okay. It's kind of a real, it's to me, it's a stretch, but I'm not buying it. And let's forget about the fact that the birth of Christ most likely did not happen. Here it comes the spoiler. It did not happen on December 25th. You know, and what's it all about, Alfie? It's going out and getting cards and making sure everybody's got a gift, and the food has to be right, and who did you forget to invite? And oh my God, this is going to cause a huge fight in the family because so-and-so didn't come last year, but this one got an invite, but they didn't show. Holidays, are you ready for the holidays, Johnny? Holidays? I don't care if the holidays burn. Because all you do is go crazy and you spend whatever money that you have, and then what? And nobody seems to appreciate it anyway.
One of the growing up, one of my favorite memories were the holidays with your cousins, the food. I mean, it wasn't about gifts.
Right.
We didn't exchange gifts with my cousins.
People
or
coming
anything like that.
together.
It was about exactly, John. It was about the gathering.
Yeah.
About this holiday we went here. That holiday this one came over, and you couldn't wait to see your cousins, and you
Right.
couldn't wait to just sit down, and everybody was thankful. There were no gifts exchanged.
Right.
My mother and father didn't pile gifts for our cousins or their brothers and sisters, my aunts and uncles that came over.
Right.
They never did. One thing I always told my kids, I can count the amount of gifts they've given me, and they're 34 and 31 on one hand. Because I told them, don't give me a gift. I said, your time is my gift. And I truly believe that.
Yeah.
So you come and we get together. I said, that is the true gift. I don't need anything. I don't want, if we want something, John, we get it ourselves.
Right.
So since they've been young, I said, I don't want anything. Just the time we're spending together means everything to me.
It's gratitude and thanks, right?
Yes.
Give thanks and praise to the Lord.
Amen.
Says Bob Marley.
Yeah.
Time for a turnaround or what?
Yeah, I think it's time for a turnaround. Let's turn this around, Johnny. Go ahead.
Okay. All right.
Great
How
conversation.
How about a little reverence and a little prayer for thankfulness and gratitude. Oh Lord, we pray to you, and we offer you our hearts and our free will. Bestow upon everyone on this planet, Lord, the thankfulness and the gratitude that we were born with free will, so that we can exercise that will, so that we can grow spiritually, and then in turn give back to you with love and thanks in your river of love and light. Amen.
Amen. Great job, John.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Peeps, see you again on the next episode of The Jersey Alchemist.
If you like what we're doing, people, press the like button, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Peace.